So good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Namaste Lake Chapala session. Welcome to the experience of Namaste, which is the only reason we come together, to see and to know the beloved in and through each other, and in doing so, to know that there is only that's all there is. There's nothing else. And when we choose to see nothing else, when we choose to know and to love only that love, then that's when the experience that we talk about, but which we live, comes crashing in. The experience of that love. St. Francis of Assisi once said, "Why is love not loved?" It's a very interesting and beautiful question. If love is all there is, why aren't we just madly, passionately in love with that and giving everything to that, allowing that to permeate every part of our life, the experience of I am that. If that's all there is, and that's what we're going to be talking about today, all that there is. And I want to begin by telling you a little story of a story that I heard last night. So last night, pretty late in the evening, I participated in something that the humanities team put together called Shout Out for Love. I don't know if any of you saw that or were part of that, but they had thousands of people throughout the day, different points of the day, just opening up their windows and their doors and yelling out at the top of their lungs, "Love!" And so there was a panel last night, and I was on that panel right before that happened. And there was a friend of mine who was also on there named Adil. And Adil is one of the organizers of the Unify Facebook site and experience. Maybe some of you have seen or are part of Unify. And so Adil shared a very beautiful story. It's a Burning Man story. I don't know how many of you in the room have ever been to Burning Man? I have not. Burning Man for me is kind of like India. I'm both really drawn to it and I'm also really afraid of it. I may go at some point, but I haven't yet. But Adil's story took place years ago in one of his visits to Burning Man. And apparently he and his friends had constructed this huge dome where they had dances and different gatherings. And on the final night, when there's a huge, if you don't know about Burning Man, there's a huge wooden man in the center of the whole huge, enormous camp. And the very last thing that they do is burn this man down. And so everyone goes to that, but Adil stayed behind because someone had to watch the equipment and all of that. So Adil is there by himself, feeling a little lonely, and he sees a man just walk by the dome, a naked man, which is not unusual for Burning Man. And he sees the man stop and come inside, and he recognizes him as someone who came in, maybe a day or so earlier. And this man, when he came in earlier, he walked in, he just looked around and began to weep, and then walked out again. So Adil recognized him. And now here's this man again. They're alone, and the man walks up to him. And Adil said that his eyes were just shining like the sun. There was this radiation coming from him that was palpable, that he knew right away. And the man said to him, "Why did you call me here?" And Adil looked around and said, I don't know what you mean. I didn't call you here. And so the man said, "But I only go where I am called." So somehow we were called together. And so Adil just went with it and just stayed with this man, and they chatted and just had this full experience. And the man said to Adil, "If there's only one thing that you would want, what would it be? What would it be?" And Adil thought about that, and he said, "I want to feel what you're feeling right now. The only thing I want is to have that full experience of love, of the beloved." So the man looked at him and said, "How well do you know the 10 Commandments?" Adil said, well, I know a few of them, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, but I don't know all of them, and I don't know what order they go in. So the man said, so you don't know what the first one is? And Adil thought about it and said, no, I can't say I do. He said, here's the first commandment. You shall love the Lord your God with your whole heart, your whole mind, and your whole soul. That's it. Just feel that for a moment. You shall love the beloved. You shall love Allah. You shall love God with your whole heart, your whole mind, and your whole soul. Just to interject, I love the fact that the word whole is there. To do so wholly. To give everything. Not part, not most, not 99%, but wholly, completely. To love God completely. To see the beloved everywhere and to love the beloved everywhere. He said, this is the first commandment. And so Adil just sat with that and felt that. And he said it was one of the most beautiful experiences he'd ever had. It changed his life. And I was thinking about this story after Adil told it last night and this morning. And just how appropriate it is for everything that we talk about here today and every day in our meetings. And lately, as you know, I've been talking about Sufism and the path of the love of God, the path of giving everything to love, which is all Sufism is. I sent out an email last night that maybe you got this morning, all about St. Francis's connection with Sufism. I think that one line that I shared a moment ago, why is love not loved? There's so many other things that Francis, you could see, had a definite impact from his time with the Sufis and with the Sultan. But when I think about that first commandment, you shall love the Lord God with your whole mind, your whole heart, your whole soul. It's very similar to that line, that prayer, that Sufi prayer that we shared last week that you all know now. La ilaha illallahu. There is no God but God. Feel that for a moment. Don't think about it for a moment, but feel it for a moment. There is no God but God. It's almost like saying there is no everything but everything. There is no all but all. There is no love but love. Some of you know that I have something tattooed on my arm here, very similar, a line from A Course in Miracles that says, no love but God's, or there is no love but God's love. It's saying the same thing. La ilaha illallahu. In fact, every great spiritual path, every great realized teacher is saying the same thing, which is give everything. Love totally. Don't hold back. When you're holding back anything, it's always because there's a fear somewhere lurking in the corner. The fear of what'll happen if I give too much? What'll happen if I'm not left with what I need? And what we know and what we've shared here before is that the only way to hold on to what you hold dear is to give it away. Is to give everything, is to be the source of all goodness. Not goods, but goodness. When you enter fully into that prayer, La ilaha illallahu, there is no God but God, there is no love but love, and you feel that, something awakens within us. Our heart begins to vibrate and radiate. When we give everything, that's all that's being asked of us. Every moment, every day. So that being said, because you guys said that you enjoyed this last week, we're going to, now and then, we're going to do a little Sufi dance in our chairs, in our seats. so we don't have to move, but we can still create some of that movement and motion. Most of all, we can open up the door. Doing these chants is like being in a stuffy room and just swinging wide the door so that the wind and the fresh air can come streaming in. So we're going to do something that we did last week using that prayer, La ilaha illallahu. Once again, La ilaha illallahu. There is no God but God. And I've been doing this and other chants and little dances every day in my little tiny anchor hole bedroom with no windows and very tiny. And I just go in there, and for hours I'll be doing this and just feeling my heart lift and soar, and that union with the beloved become a real, tangible thing. To love God with your whole mind, your whole heart, and your whole soul. So let me teach you this simple dance one more time. We did it last week. It starts with us being straight. And then as we say the words La ilaha, we go into a circle from left to right. So La ilaha. On the ha, we end up about here. And then as we say the word il, we breathe in. So once again, La ilaha. Then as we say Allah, we bow, Allah. Then as we say Hu, on the in-breath, we lift. And by the way, when you lift slightly to the left so that you're coming into alignment with the heart. So let me do the whole thing now. La ilaha Allah. See if you can do that with me. La ilaha Allah. Okay, good. So we're going to do this for just a couple of minutes. That's all. Just a couple of minutes. But I want you to see if you can give everything to this. If you can give everything. In other words, to really feel the words. And there is no God but God. There is no love but love. There is no light but light. We could say this in 1,000 different ways, and it's the same thing every time. So I want you to see if you can really feel this. If you find your mind beginning to move into some other direction, that's okay. It's going to happen. Just bring it back. There is no God but God. See if you can give yourself to this just for a couple of minutes. Okay? Here we go. Straight. And just follow my voice. Here we go. La ilaha Allah. 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 I'm going to go a little faster now. La ilaha Allah. La ilaha Allah. La ilaha Allah. Allah. La ilaha. 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 Allah. 3 more times. Ilaha. Allah. La ilaha. Allah. Last time. La ilaha. Allah. So now just for a few seconds, rest there. Continue to breathe deeply. If you want, you can continue to let that sacred name, Allah, run through your mind with your breath. And when you're ready, open your eyes and come back and join the group. I hope you can feel the sacredness of that. More than anything, I hope you can feel it. Not in your mind, but the only place where that experience is going to break in your heart. To feel that light filling your heart. And it's such a simple way, simple chant that we can do anytime we want. And it'll immediately bring you back to this quiet, still, devotional place. Remember, if you want to have this experience, you must want it above everything else. If you want to know that you are one with God and with everything, you have to desire and seek that experience over everything else. You have to love the Lord your God with your whole heart, your whole mind, and your whole soul. We hear that echoed in every great spiritual tradition. So now it's time for us not just to give lip service, but to find ways that we can live that. So, I see Teddy in the room, and I don't know if Vicky's here as well, but Teddy, I'm going to turn it over to you and see if there's anything you'd like to share. I sent you a little thing, so you should be able to unmute. There you go.
Can you hear me now?
We can. Was the light too bright? You couldn't see anything?
No, no, no. For some reason, my clicker doesn't always work. I have to replug it in. So I gotta,
Well, I know how that feels.
when we were sitting there doing that, this is really a crazy story, and it's got to do. Jimmy, you're involved.
Oh, great.
So, um, you know, I was told to do a fundraiser to raise money for the Sparkly Edition.
The Sparkly Edition, by the way, is the version of the Course in Miracles that Teddy helped publish that had sparkles on the cover.
So, so Jesus had me talking to Jerry Garcia, and Jerry said, "Go have it at the Sweetwater, which is Bob Weir's place in Mill Valley." So when we were doing this, when you doing the motion, I kept on thinking, "Wow, this is like a Grateful Dead concert." And right down in the front of the show, they always have an area where people dance. And when they get into the music, it's just about being one with the music and the vibration. And they just twirl, they just spin. So I went to the Sweetwater and I asked them if we could have the fundraiser there. And they told me yes. I went to Wavy Gravy's birthday party, as a matter of fact. They said, yeah, you could do it here. So I said, wow, that's cool. So I called Victor. So I had Vicky call Victor.
Victor Wooten.
That's when Jimmy comes in, Victor Wooten. And he said, yeah, of course I'd do it. So I called Larry Sire, and Larry said, yeah, I'd love to play with Victor again. And we could broadcast it all around. I could set it up so we could broadcast it and do it out on Facebook, because the Sweetwater only holds 200 people. And I'm saying, how are we going to do it? Like Victor Wooten shows up. So I was at the Sweetwater, and I went outside and I was hanging out with a friend of mine, Mark, and I was sitting in the chair, and Bob Weir's band came out between sets. And we were just talking. I said, oh, yeah, I'm going to have a fundraiser here with Victor Wooten. And all of Bob Weir's band agreed to play with Victor when we set it up. And it was, so I was just sitting there. I said,
I'll do it.
exactly. Well, you were going to be there.
I remember, yes.
But all I know is you're talking about everything coming together as one. It's like my whole life comes together as one. But and it all happens, the minute I go to focus on, like, you're doing things in the regular day, you got to do this, you got to do everything. The minute I just stop and focus, what immediately happens is that my forehead cracks open and I feel the light. And then the center of my head cracks open and I feel the communication. And it's just what happens. Like, it's just part of the way I live. So I don't really think about all these things, but when we're swirling, I'm thinking, holy shit. And then it all came together. I'm saying, oh my God, like there is really only one thing going on around here. And that's it, there's only one thing going on. And it involves everybody, Jimmy, Victor, Bob Weir's band, the Sweetwater. It all just comes together for one single purpose all the time. It's really incredible. So that's what I'm laughing at. But I don't really have much to say other than that.
That's awesome. Well, laughing is the greatest prayer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Laughing and just, yeah. And the whole teaching is there's only one thing going on. That's all we need to get. There's literally only one thing going on. One thing that you have to do. Then that takes us right back to that guy who showed up in my friend's Burning Man place and said, what's the first commandment? If you want to have this experience, because that's what Adil said to him, I want to have what you have. Well, then here's how you do it. There's only one thing going on. Give everything to that one.
And
That's
even
it.
you could even use the resistance as a way of remembering, because there
Sure.
is only one thing going on. We're all trying to heal the separation, and we think there's something else to do. But the only thing is, you either feel like you're one or you feel separation, and that's any feeling that isn't oneness. And as long as you feel that and remember, you can learn to use the forgetting to help you to remember that you're only one. And that's all there really is. It's all about that all the time. It's really a
We
wild.
can use everything, no matter what comes up. Use it. Let it use you. Just let it take you.
Absolutely. But
Just like,
I'm amazed that somehow Victor Wooten, the best bass player in the entire universe, somehow gets hooked up with you and Vicky, and how we're sending them cases of
yeah.
old Bella Fleck, and the Flecktones are giving them away. And Jerry Garcia is telling me to do it at the Sweetwater, and Bob Weir's band wants to play. I'm saying, oh my God, like, how does this stuff come together? I could never do this on my own. I wouldn't even be able to think about it.
It reminds me of a Saturday Night Live thing I was watching about, the greatest band in heaven and all of these great musicians coming. You have Jimi Hendrix and Jim Morrison and the other thing that it reminded me of is you talked about when you're at a Grateful Dead concert and the people spinning and dancing in that ecstatic oneness. It's no different than a whirling dervish. It's if you go to, I don't know if any of you ever been to any sort of hippie festival or concert. That's all they do. All they do is dance and spin and just become one. Or like you mentioned the other day, but years ago when we lived at Endeavor Academy in Wisconsin, the energy would just get so high. You couldn't resist it. You would start spinning or jumping up and down. It doesn't matter what you do. Just allow that light to flow through you. If you're doing a little movement and a chant like we just did, or if it's putting on a Grateful Dead CD and spinning around in your room, whatever.
And the oneness is there. It's amazing. It's like everything gets totally silent in your mind, and there's no separation, no distance. And the music could be as loud as possible, the crowd, and it's just one motion, one vibratory frequency of energy.
That's
It's
right.
really amazing. It blows me away every
So
time.
find what works for you and do it. If you're enjoying doing these little Sufi chants and movements, we're going to do more of them. Or if there's something else, whatever it is, give yourself to love. Give yourself to oneness because once again, that's the only thing there is.